Now you just have to accept it.
Yep, we're in. Okay, cool. And we'll get going. Welcome, everybody.
Well, hello. I'm Michelle Bass. I am, I was going to say your hostess with the mostest, but I am your trainer. If How many of you have been to the other trainings that we've provided so far? Is there anyone who hasn't? Let's do it that way.
This is my first one.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Tammy.
Welcome, Tammy. Lisa has not.
Okay, and Lisa. Okay. So a couple of things. I'm Michelle Bass. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. There are many things that I have done. I'm a TBRI practitioner, which is trust-based relational intervention practitioner. My full-time job, I work for a large organization in Idaho, where I provide behavioral health therapy. But I also started this LLC, Bass Consultation Services, last year to provide additional trauma-informed trainings and coaching. And so that's one of the things that I'm very passionate about as well. Um, in addition, my husband and I, Ken Bass, uh, have the Resilient Parenting podcast that's through the Idaho Children's Trust Fund. And that is a free resource that is basically across the state of Idaho that you can access. And I'll have information later about that. But that's kind of me in a nutshell. I've been doing this work for a really long time, even before I became a social worker. I've always been passionate about children and parents and anyone in a parenting role, providing that support. A couple things about how we're going to work together today. Because of the amount of people and it being virtual and being recorded, and also that we are limited on time, we just ask that everyone respond through the chat. We will have opportunities for you to go into small groups. Don't get scared. It's actually lovely because of the fact that we're so spread out to have a small group in your area of caregivers for you to be able to meet and chat. Because one of the things, besides sharing information that you can take with you, is also connecting with other caregivers that are doing the same hard work, to be able to know that you're not alone. So that is one area that we will have that opportunity for you to be able to share. And so don't hesitate to write anything in the chat. Sheila is going to be helping kind of monitor that, and we'll have opportunities to ask questions. Today, we are going to, some of it, we're going to be talking a little bit about what we talked about last time, just like a review, reflections, and we'll do that in small groups. And then we're going to kind of do a little bit of a review. So for those of you that missed some of the other ones, I definitely encourage you to go back to those recordings. But I'll do a quick review, and then I'm going to build off of what we've already been working on. And I have a lot of different tools I'm going to show you today. So definitely make sure that you're comfortable. Make sure you have a notebook and a pen, because you're going to definitely want to write these down. Lots of great tools today. And take care of yourself. So it's 2 hours. If you need, make sure you have water. I have my water with me right here. It says, yes, this is my emotional support water bottle. So make sure you have yours. And then snacks, whatever you need. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. Any questions right now?
I'm not seeing anything in the chat so far, Michelle. But yeah,
Okay,
if folks haven't had an opportunity yet, please let us know your name, just your name, your location, and who you're caring for. So good to see everybody.
perfect. Okay, so today we are going to, this is the agenda for the day. Reflections. We're going to discuss the brain a little bit again, the stress cycle, the window of tolerance, and then sharing some tools. So before we get going, it's really important. We have a lot of different things that can take our attention away. And it's really important that in this time that we really focus our energy on today's session so that you get the most out of your time. So just take a moment to just think, is there anything distracting you? Do you need to put your phone away, turn it down? Is there anything else going on that you can just be like, for right now, I am going to just focus on this. And if there is, just notice it. If there's something you can do to help with that distraction, like for me, I put my dogs in the kennel because that would definitely be a distraction, and they'll be fine. I will get them in a little bit. All right. So let's go ahead, and we did some introductions on the chat and reflections. So really quick, last time I did a very brief introduction to trust-based relational intervention, TBRI. We talked about the three main principles, which is connecting, empowering, and correcting. Just as a little review, we talked about the importance of relationship and connection. We talked about different ways to empower. And you all should have had some slides and whatnot. Don't worry if you missed last time, because you should have someone in your group that was there. My wondering is, since the last training, or even if you didn't go to the last training, maybe you have some wonderings about what you're hoping to get out of today's training. Or even, just like, you know, where you're at, where you're from, who you're caring for. These are the kinds of things that I'd like for you in your small groups to talk about together. So, how many do you think, Sheila, will be in small groups? Because that'll
Well,
determine the time.
probably two or three in a group. They're little groups today. So yeah.
Okay.
Let's do the
Okay.
location. Yeah.
Do you think 10 minutes would be enough time
Oh
for
yeah.
everybody to
I
be
would
able
think
to share?
3 to 5 because they're little groups, like two or three people. So I mean, yeah. Yeah.
I want each person to have at least a few minutes to share. So like three,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
three
That's
minutes.
perfect. Yeah.
So three, six. So if it's three, how about 8 minutes? Does that
Okay.
work?
Yeah. Whatever works for folks.
Okay. Okay, so if Sheila's going to put you in small groups, just my ask is just that make sure everyone has a chance to share. You do not have to share, but it would be nice to at least share who you are and who you're caring for. Um, and just make sure that everyone has a chance. So if you feel like you're doing a lot of the talking, maybe you know, step back and let someone else talk. And if you're also the opposite, where you're not doing any of the talking, make sure that you step up and do a little bit so that everyone has a chance. And then we'll come back and do quick shares through the chat to see what everyone's thinking and doing. So like, even if it's something that you learned last time that you tried, how did that go? That would be another thing to talk about.
Yeah, Michelle, and because the one of them was a note taker, so I popped it out. So yeah, they're just two folks in a room, so that might make life a little easier.
Oh, okay.
So they're just
Okay.
pairs.
Yeah,
So is
so
that
pairs is great. How about just 7 minutes sound okay? 5 minutes? What
5 minutes? We do five? Does that work for two people? Yeah.
do you guys think that's enough time? This is your training. So
Yeah, should
want
be,
to
should
definitely
be.
5 minutes? Okay, let's do that. Let's go ahead and do that then.
Okay, should be getting a thing right now, folks.
We'll see you soon.
Okay, Nancy should be okay. She's got it. Okay, cool. No, I'm a little hesitant to put a note taker. Let me.
Oh, yeah.
So I bebopped that. I'm like, I'm just gonna put that back in the waiting room. I thought maybe it was just oddly named, and Tammy's in here twice, so she's in a room. So I'm gonna put her in the waiting room too. Yeah. Okay, cool. Everybody's put
You want to
some.
stop the
I
recording?
do. Yes. Thank you for the reminder.
Yay, teamwork makes the dream work, or something like that. Okay, so if folks could write in the chat maybe some of their reflections, um, so that we can see what folks were maybe talking about. Share what you would like to share, but you don't have to. We were talking about some reflections from the last time, maybe some things that you tried, or what were y'all talking about?
And I'm keeping an eye on the chat. I'm seeing folks, I think,
Thank
type away
you.
right now. So yeah, so. Oh, it was great to hear. Oh, Leslie's doing some new things with her trainings. Leslie, we have to send an email out about some of your trainings. I'd love to do that. We'll maybe I'll reach back to you, Leslie. Maybe we can send the group what you're up to these days. So you've always got cool stuff going on. So that's awesome. All righty. The quiet group this morning, that's okay, but yeah, that's what we got so far.
Oh, there we
So
go.
yeah.
They just had to, Sheila, they just had to have time to type it.
Maybe that's it. I'm a fast typer, fast talker, fast typer. Alrighty. Nothing else yet. So yeah, maybe we'll just yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and just keep going then. Um, okay. So in the first training, I talked about trauma informed training, and one of the things that we talked about was the brain and how the brain responds to stress. So let's just do a quick review. Um, the brain structure. I am not a brain scientist. But you don't need to be to understand the basics. So again, the brain develops from the bottom up. The brain stem is the autonomic functions like the heart rate, the blood pressure, body temperature, all those things that just automatically happen. Think about when you get startled, what happens in your body. It's an automatic response. You might start sweating, your heart rate goes up, all those things. You don't think about it, it just happens. Then you move up into the limbic system. This is where fight or flight, emotional regulation, and memories are stored. And then you move up into the cortex. The prefrontal cortex is where that abstract thought, logic, factual memory, planning, empathy, insight, impulse control, all those things live. And it's another way to look at this, and this is the beautiful thing that I love for teaching children, is the hand model of the brain. And this was a concept created by Dan Siegel. Same basic idea. Here's the brain stem. This part right here would be the limbic system. And then up here is the frontal cortex. And when the brain is regulated, the frontal cortex is in control, okay? But what happens when your body senses danger, or it goes into fight flight, uh, the frontal cortex goes offline and the limbic system is in charge. And so a lot of times when we see kids and we say, wow, they went from 0 to 50 just like that, it's because they flipped their lid. We will talk later about how they actually are not starting at 0. But there's some different things that we're going to learn today that can help you be proactive to catch things small so that they don't flip the lid. Or if they do flip their lid, what we can do to help them regulate and get back to a calm state. This also includes us as the caregivers, okay? And just a reminder, if you have questions or anything, you can put it in the chat, but I can't see you because my my information's in front of me. So it's kind of weird. I feel like I'm kind of like just blindly here doing this. So let's talk about the stress cycle. So the stress response, you have the stimuli of one of the five senses are sent to the brain. The brain deciphers the stimulus as either a threat or a non-threat. The body stays activated or aroused until the threat is over, and then the body returns to a homeostasis stage. Okay, so let's think of an example. I think I used the example before of like if you almost get hit by like in a car. Like let's say you're in the car and suddenly someone puts on their brakes in front of you and you have to put on the brake and you almost hit, or someone almost hits you in a parking lot. Immediately, your body sees that and goes, right? You have an immediate reaction. What can you imagine? I'd like you to put it in the chat. What can you imagine is happening in your body? What do you notice in that moment? What is your lower part, your brainstem, your reptilian part of your brain? What is happening? Sheila, is anybody writing anything?
Not yet, but I'm thinking like trying to kind of protect yourself. That's what I'm kind of seeing in the chat that I'm kind of putting in the chat. Like you're just like you see like a threat and your brain kind of goes, panic
Okay,
feelings, heart
so
rate
okay,
increases.
panic. So we're talking the brain, the bottom part of the brain. So we're talking like your heart rate goes up.
Yeah,
Maybe
panic,
your
tense
sweat,
muscles.
maybe you're
Yep.
sweating a
Mhm.
little bit.
Yep.
Um,
Holding breath is another one I just
holding,
saw in the chat. So yeah, heart
yep,
rate.
holding your
Yep.
breath.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, and then you're looking around. So it deciphers the stimulus as either a threat or a non-threat. So then you're looking around and you realize, oh, I didn't get hit. Then you start to like calm down enough. Typically by then you're a little bit more regulated, at least got some access to the cognitive where you can start thinking of some words to say, right? What just happened? Where did you learn to drive? Or whatever, or my bad. That would probably be me. My bad. Sorry, didn't see you there, or whatever it is, right? And then the body, once it's, you know, calmer and you say, okay, I'm not in danger anymore, then you start to see that you can calm down. I will say this, and I'm sure that most of you can relate to this. In a situation like that, you're more alert after that, though. Every little movement, you're like, oh my goodness, like worried about it because you're still a little bit on alert. So, or a little bit activated. And then eventually you calm down and the body returns. Okay. Let's think about this from another perspective. If you were being out gathering wood back in the day, even now, and you see a bear, in your path, what would be your immediate reaction without you even thinking about it? Same kind of thing. Maybe your heart rate goes up, hold your breath. um, you're even like in a situation, well, we'll stay with this situation. Okay, so you can feel changes, right? You
Yeah,
start to
the chat just put somebody just put in freeze in the chat, so they're gonna freeze. So yeah.
okay, well, you immediately, because it's an immediate thing, you flip and you go, limbic system is in charge. Limbic system is in charge because there's a threat, right? And so your choice is fight, flight, freeze. So in that moment you will either run, you will try to fight the bear, or you're going to freeze, right? So, and you're not going to be like, I think I feel like fighting. No, it's an automatic thing. Your body's just going survival is the key. Okay. And then let's say that the bear is like, I'm not interested. And he walks away. Your body is going to be like activated for a bit, right? Yeah, but eventually, when you realize that you're safe, your body eventually will go back to a calm. I notice it also in my stomach. I notice it in my chest. Sometimes when I feel like this, like when I was imagining it, I felt like a tightness in my chest, maybe like in my neck. Okay, Even and there's so many things in a happen. There's the whole polyvagal theory where it talks about like certain things slow down, like your digestion slows down when you're in this state, because no one's going to care if you're digesting a cheeseburger if you're going to have to fight for your life, right? It needs all the energy to survive. Same for your immunity. Your immunity slows down because it's not caring at that moment. If you're fighting a cold, it is going to want to keep you alive in that moment. Okay. So the problem with this, and this is wonderful. We want this to be the situation. The problem is that our brains and body do not always know what is a real threat and something that feels like a threat. So think about different situations where your body has been tuned up and you flip your lid. You weren't facing a bear, but your body, by the different senses, sense danger and immediately goes into protection. So let's say you're doing something that is scary to you, like talking in front of people, for instance, or, something that maybe for some people, like for me, like going into Costco, uh, it's very busy. The lights are, and we'll talk about this later, but the lights are too bright. It's loud. There's a lot of people. And my body goes into this. I know it does. So I notice it. And then think about your kids too. Like, are there times when they seem like they're going into this? Again, it is a natural thing to try to protect. So first recognizing what's happening and then noticing the environment that is causing that. So I want to show you this next slide. So the stress response, constant activation, like we just talked about, of the stress response overloads developing systems with serious lifelong consequences for a child. So you see at the bottom, that is the emotional part in the brain stem that we just talked about. If the limbic system is being used and used and used, they're always going into that because maybe they were in an environment that didn't feel safe. Or maybe sometimes the caregiver that was caring for them wasn't always emotionally or safely there for them. You can think of lots of different things that could possibly happen. Okay. And over time, just like think of like a muscle, it gets overly activated and then eventually it stays set on high alert. So for danger, it's tuned up. Okay. So like, think about what happened in your body when you saw the bear. Well, if you were constantly in danger, you probably would go out in high alert all the time, right? If I haven't actually seen a bear in the wild, I probably would be pretty calm until I saw it, right? If that was a normal part of how you lived your life, you probably would be on high alert and ready for that, if that makes sense. So you look and you see how activated it is. Okay, so let's look. I know we used this slide before. I want to share this again. You can see how on the left is a healthy brain, on the right is an abused brain. You can see that, okay, so at the very top on the left, see how it's all red and it's activated? That is the frontal cortex. The bottom part is the brain stem and the limbic system. So you can see that it's still activated compared to and then there's all sorts of different things going on of different activations through learned experiences, through connection, through all that. So they were able to really build on their frontal cortex of like their empathy and their connection to others because they didn't live hijacked in the limbic system. You still want the limbic system and the brainstem to be functioning because that's how you stay safe. But on the right, if you look, there's a lot more activation in the bottom part of that limbic system and the brainstem and less activation in the frontal cortex. So you can see with this kid, it had less experiences or maybe positive experiences. And then this is where you see like the frontal cortex, there's a lot of holes and less activation. And so when we look at the kids that we're caring for, and I don't know the situation with the kids in your care, I worked for 13 years, actually longer, with kids in the foster care system. And there was a lot of behavioral things going on, but a lot of it had to do with we were working with kids that their brain just looked different than brains of a healthy brain. And I say this with the understanding that that can change. So this is where they're at, but with certain activities, with certain interventions, the brain can change. And so it's not a hopeless situation, but it is important to know what you're working with and maybe some of the why behind some of the behaviors so that you can understand why your approach needs to be different as well. So when we look at hyperarousal, that would be like a high resting heart rate. This would be when you flip your lid and you go into fight and flight. Okay, so this is like that hyperarousal. Behavioral explosive, exaggerated response. So this is like when you're like, wait, they went from 0 to 50. We just talked about that, or 0 to 100. They're absolutely dysregulated. You just got to know that when they're like this, they have flipped their lid. Poor memory and focus. We talked about this before, but this in the chat, why would they have poor memory and focus? If you look at it and they flip their lid. I'll give you a second to think about that.
And I'll keep an eye on the chat.
I'll give a quick frontal cortex, calm, flipped. This is no longer in control and it's offline. This is in control.
Yeah, well, folks are typing or looking. I mean, your brain just, I mean, I would, yeah, their brain is going, yeah, here's one right here. Their brain is going 110 miles an hour. So they just can't organize because in the chat, I'm saying their brain is going 110 miles an hour. So
Yeah.
going too quick.
Yeah. And this part is in charge. So this part that has like the factual memory, offline. So also offline would be like the empathy and all the things. So think about, I always like to use self because it's one thing to go, oh yeah, I remember when they felt that way, but it's more intense and more, it takes on a whole new meaning when you think about a time when you felt that because you can feel it physically. And I think that's important. So think of a time where you were in fight or flight. What maybe you said something you didn't mean when you were calm later. You had to do some repair work. Or maybe you reacted in such a slamming things or, like so upset. And it's like, why was I so upset? I wouldn't normally do that. It's important for us to know that we all have moments like this. Okay. Was there anything else in the chat before I keep going?
Not yet, not yet, Michelle. I'll keep an eye out though. So I realized you can't see me and I'm shaking my head at you, so it's not very helpful.
Oh,
So yeah. Oh, maybe not feel
yeah.
heard. Yeah, people aren't feeling heard in that space too. I got another one. So yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. So poor memory and focus frequently get labeled ADHD, conduct disorder, ODD, anger management problems, because they're just explosive. These are the kids that maybe like get so angry, they like throw stuff, they slam the door, they run off, like so many things. Okay. And then there's hypoarousal. We see these with inattentive, lack of focus, poor memory. This is the freeze. This is like going inward. And so for like the one person who said, I saw a bear, maybe in that moment they thought, I can't outrun this bear. I certainly can't fight this bear. I'm just like, "Ugh, I don't know what, I can't even do anything." So you go inward. It is a way for your body to protect yourself. And we see this a lot in situations like sexual abuse, where they can't run, they can't fight their attackers, so they go inward. It's another way to protect yourself. Um, Again, you still are disconnected from this part. And we see this a lot, of like disassociation. Um, there's more to it, but let's see. Slow processing can look very flat, dull, non-confrontational, often poor at math. And when you think about math, it is foundational. So you start here, right? Like these are numbers. Here's even, there's odd. And you slowly build. You're not starting with algebra. Like you have to know what numbers are. Then you have to know, like, I don't know how the system is. I'm thinking like adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, right? It's building. So now picture if a child is in that learning environment and for different reasons, they are going in and out of freeze because they're dysregulated. So they learn this and then they didn't learn that, but so now they're here and they're like, wait, something's disconnected from here. Oh, I'll get some information. And there's little gaps between their learning because they're in and out of hearing the information and being able to process it and learn it. It makes sense that math would be an area that would be difficult because it builds on itself. So I also think that I've worked with a lot of teachers, and these are often the students that don't get noticed because they're the quiet ones in the back. Maybe they have the hood over and they're just like, you know, not causing a ruckus with the hyper arousal guy over here who's like throwing the chair or talking back to the teacher. So oftentimes they're struggling, but it doesn't get caught right away because they're not outwardly showing it. Frequently labeled ADHD, depressed, and bipolar. So, when we're looking at these two different areas, I would also look at hyperarousal as like typically you might go into fight, flight, and then go into overwhelm and then shut down. I would look at this as shutdown as well. And all of us have experienced that at some point in our lives. So, like, have you ever felt so overwhelmed? Like, one more thing, just one more thing. And it's like, and I'm done. I just want to like climb and no one talk to me. I'm going to go. Many of us are doing this, scrolling on our phones, playing a game where we don't have to think, watching Netflix and just like watching, not calling anybody out, but can anybody relate to this? You can even do thumbs up. Sheila can see
I'm
thumbs
seeing
up.
some nods. Yeah, I'm seeing some nods.
Okay.
So yeah.
So, yep. Oh, Tammy, I saw your thumbs up. I could see that. It was floating through the slide. Oh, okay. Now a heart. Okay. Well, we like those. Okay. Any questions about what we've gone over so far?
And I'll keep an eye on the chat as well. So yeah, you can throw out questions anytime you want in the chat and we'll send them on up.
Yeah.
We're out.
Okay. So we're going to move into the window of tolerance. The window of tolerance, for me, was life-changing, because I want to show you these two different slides. And you can get, the slides are in your, the packet that you received when you signed up for this class. But, oh, Tammy wants to be admitted, it looks like. Okay. So when we look at the window of tolerance, if you look at the picture to the left, that's your window. And then if you look above, there's your hyperarousal, which we just discussed. And then at the bottom there is the hypoarousal. And then there's some different things to talk about it. So When we look at the window of tolerance, think of it as your ability to manage stress and in that moment. So when we're looking at the window, it's like it changes day by day. So another way to look at it, I'm going to go to the next slide, is when we talked about so the red, you have moments of in the middle is in the green, and we're going to be talking about the colors later on, but I want to get this kind of in your head right now. So the window of tolerance is you're calm. That doesn't mean things are going great, but you're able to like acknowledge like things that are happening and kind of continue with your life. Your cognitive part of your brain is still in control. Okay. But things can upset it. So, for instance, think about if you didn't get a good night's sleep. Do you think when you wake up, you're going to have a full window, a full cushion to deal with life's challenges that day?
I'm seeing some shaking heads and some.
Okay. Yeah, sleep is our superpower. Okay, so already right there, okay, what if you're not feeling well, you're fighting a cold, or you have a sore throat? Think about something like that. Or you have like maybe something that like your hips hurting, or you wake up, you have a little bit of headache. I mean, whatever it is, we all have different things, aches and pains. I swear, like every time, every year I get older, I have a new ache, but it's besides the point. I injure myself just sitting, so I don't know. There's some things I can do about that, but anyway. So think about that, and would your window be when you're fighting a cold or not feeling 100%? Would your window be? Your window be 100%? Absolutely not. I'll just say it. I don't need to hear it. I know. So I will say just right off the bat, when we hear the thing 0 to 100, no one starts at 0. Okay, especially anyone, especially our kids who've had different things happen in their life, where maybe when we think about how the brain develops, maybe there's some differences in like the brain. Maybe there are some things about being tuned up, different things going on in school or socially. There's lots of different areas. And we talked about those different, how trauma can impact all those different areas in the first training. So I highly invite you to go back and look at that if you want a reminder about some of that. So when we're looking at this, just recognize that the kids that you're loving and taking care of will not be starting at 0. Neither will you. Okay. So looking and seeing, okay, so I'm here. I have this much cushion left. Okay. So then there are things that can happen. I'm going to say, what would happen if you woke up late? Your window would shrink, right? Because you would, oh, like, I don't know about you guys, but as soon as I said that, my stomach did a little loopy-loo, like, oh, okay. Skipped breakfast because you were running late. Couldn't find the keys. Oh, that's the worst. All these things. Do you see how the window is shrinking? Okay. We're going to talk about how you can build your window, but I also want to just recognize that there's things along the way that can shrink your window. But let's say you find your keys, you get to work, you get the kids off to school, you get to work, let's say, or whatever it is that you're doing. You think you're fine because guess what? You like pushed it aside, probably. You pushed it aside, but your window is smaller. So things happen. You get something at work where it's like, we're going to start a new program and you have to learn blah, 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 blah. Ooh. Anytime something new, I don't care, even if it's a good thing, can cause a reaction in your body because it's like, is this safe? Will I be able to do this? All the different things can shrink it. At some point, you're going to get to caution. If you're not noticing it and you just keep pushing it aside, push it aside, all those little tiny and big things that are impacting you that you just kind of push aside. If you're not actively doing things to increase your window, will have a toll where eventually you will either get to hyperarousal or hypoarousal. And we've all experienced that. I liked the saying where it says, always give 100% unless you're donating blood. That always makes me laugh. And I like that because 100% will change every day. What our best or doing our best will change every day. So it's not well, first off, we're not doing 100%, but like I will give my best, but my best will look different depending on how I'm feeling, where my window is, and all of that. And so first recognizing that, and then looking at your kids, thinking about where they start on their window, and then what are some things that they have to hold on to throughout the day to try to stay within their window. They're usually at school, they have to be quiet. Even maybe inside they feel like they have all this energy, or maybe like socially trying to understand social cues of their peers. And in addition to their own, like the teachers and the expectations and the rules and the trying to learn, trying to have their learning brain. And think about like if they have a low tolerance and their window is smaller, how they're trying to negotiate all of that with the lived experience they have so far. It's difficult for us as adults, and we've lived much longer and have had many more examples of how things can go that can keep us moving forward. So just recognizing that we all have windows of every single day. So what are thoughts about this? You can put it in your in the chat. If we were to, I have a question too. If we were to look at like 0 to 100, if you were to look at the window right now, where would you think that you are in the window? You just give a number.
$40
Okay.
in the chat.
Yeah. Not even halfway. If you were to do 0 to 100, yeah.
60, 30. So
Yeah.
people are hovering around the middle-ish.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to learn how to build the window of tolerance. And napping increases my window of tolerance. Okay. Okay. So there are going to be some tools that you're going to know, like what helps with your window of tolerance. Now, napping may not work for others because that would impact their sleep at night. So it's all like relevant, like knowing what works, what doesn't work, and then knowing your kid too. What impacts, what helps them, what are some of those areas that are actually hurting their window of tolerance. So when we talked about TBRI, we talked about, like sensory. So for me, Costco, the lights, that was a sensory thing. I don't like the lights. I don't like the sound. Too many people. The busyness visually, there's a lot of stuff. That's even without the people joining. And then don't even get me started on all the snack and sample tables. Some people love that. To me, I'm like, just get out of my way. Like I can feel it in my body. I can slowly feel my window of tolerance shrinking as I go in. But here's the thing. I also know that happens. So one, I rarely go to Costco. But the other thing, I can't change Costco. And if I have to go to Costco or someplace that's like Costco, I know what helps me to be able to tolerate Costco enough to get my needs met and do what I need to do. So it's the same with like there's certain things we can change in our environment. And there's certain things that we can do to help us be able to adapt to the environment we're in. And so that is the next part that we're going to be talking about some tools. Before we move to tools, if you have any questions or anything about what we talked about, or if you want to just get to the tools and then we can talk about it. Because this is going to be, we'll have some interaction and whatnot too, because I have some tools, but I know you guys have some tools too. So we're going to be sharing together so that we can all leave with like a nice list of things that can help. But is there any questions up to this point? Is everybody having a basic understanding of the brain, the body, how the body reacts, and then the window of tolerance? Okay.
I think we're in good shape right now. I'm seeing thumbs up and yeses, so I think we're in good shape.
Okay. So one of the first things that I want to share with you, and this may be familiar to many of you, is the engine plate. But I add the zones of regulation. So the zones of regulation, you can look that up. They have a website that is amazing. There's lots of free downloads and things as well. So I highly recommend looking at that as a resource. Okay. The zones of regulation, I learned about that. So the engine plate I learned about when I became a TBRI practitioner. The zones of regulation I learned about when I took a training through the ALERT program, ALERT program. I was doing the TBRI, and then I was also learning about brain mapping through Dr. Bruce Perry, and looking at different ways to help build the brain, like different parts of the brain. Like, remember the brain where there were deficits in the brain? There were certain interventions that could help build different parts of the brain. And a lot of it was TBRI, to be honest with you. And as I started to go down the rabbit hole, then I discovered the ALERT program. So I took that training, which is also available to you. It's taught by 2 occupational therapists. Very amazing. I have the workbook here I wanted to show you. So what I liked about the ALERT program is it includes the yellow in the engine plate. That's why I added it to mine. Typically, I'll show you, I have this one here. In TBRI, it typically is just you're either in hypo, hyper, or good to go. But I like adding the yellow because that's like your caution, like you got one more chance before you go. So the engine plate is something that you can make at home. You can see that it is just a regular plate. You need these 4 colors. I add the Winnie the Pooh characters, but you can also add any characters that you want. You can have your kids make it to look like, I had a kid make it look like a pizza. I think they had one that made it look like different kinds of pies. They use different characters that meant something to them. You have the inside out characters that you could also use. What I like about this, especially for younger kids, is they to be able to have a color that represents what's happening in their bodies. So they may not be able to go, I'm feeling all these feels, but they can say, like you can say, it looks like, you're going into yellow, or, what color are you? And they'd be like, I'm red. They'd be able to say a color, or even to move the arrow to where they feel. And so this is a really great tool. I've had whole families do it together. The main thing that I want to stress about this is that everyone has engines. We talk about an engine plate as like our body is an engine. And sometimes it runs high, sometimes it's like in the red, sometimes it runs low, sometimes it's in the blue. For littles, we may not talk about like fight, flight, and freeze, but we would talk about like running slow, like I may like when I'm tired, or if I'm bored, or not feeling that great, or a little sad, I might be over in the blue. In the red, I might have so much energy, like Tigger, that he doesn't have control because his energy is so high that he's running into things and he's breaking things, right? But I could also be like really angry. I could be super frustrated. Yellow, could be like I'm feeling a little wiggly, a little nervous, worrying. Where if I don't do something about it, I'm going to flip my lid. In yellow, you still have access. Okay, you still have access to thinking. This is where, like in yellow, where you can say, "You're okay. Let's take a deep breath, calm yourself." Uh, we call that top down regulations because you still have access. It's still in control. The top part of your brain is still in control. When you flip your lid and you go into red or blue, this is when you're in the bottom part of your brain. And so it has to be bottom up regulation, like a deep breath. This is when co regulation is helpful. Co regulation is when your child is, let's say, in the red and you need to help regulate them, help them get back to a regulated state. We do that when they're babies. They cry. We give them what they need. They get back to a regulated state. Some of our kids, most of our kids need to start with co-regulation. Then but it starts with you being regulated, of course, and then getting to a part where they can regulate with your help, and then eventually they'll regulate themselves. And then green is good to go. You're calm. Doesn't mean you don't have problems, things going on, but you can recognize and go, okay, yeah, I'm okay. I'm calm. This is when you're in your learning brain, your thinking part of your brain. You can connect with others. Um, so let's look a little bit closer at this. Is one of the things you can find. Think School Publishing, the zones of regulation. That's where you can find a lot of these free materials online. I have some, and I actually, a lot of schools use this, and they have it on their wall to try to help students know like where they're at. So I'll have this. I'll also have the zones of regulation. I'll have the engine plate in addition. So depending on where the kids are, this can help have some words to what they're feeling. And I went through a lot of that. So again, looking at the colors, green, thinking brain, upstairs brain, ready to learn, yellow zone, cautionary, and then downstairs brain is when you're flipping your lid. Any questions about this before we start looking at strategies? Does this make sense to you?
And just so folks know, the things that Michelle's mentioning, we'll make sure to send them out after an email, like some of the websites and stuff. So this
It's
isn't your only
actually, yeah,
opportunity.
I
Yeah.
I do have in the slide, and I can send this out, but in the slide I have all of the references in the slide.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, it's like, oh,
Um,
that's good stuff.
yeah, so Sheila, we talked about the poll. This is where I'd like to do the poll. So what I'd like you guys to do, Sheila's going to put up a poll, and I want you to just think about where you're at right now. So just notice your body, notice where you think you are right now. Would you say you're in the red, blue, yellow, or green?
Answers are coming in.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, I think I got pretty good so far. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna end it in a few seconds and we'll see if we can share the results together. All right, we'll show it up.
Okay.
Okay,
You want to share the
hopefully,
results?
yeah, can folks see
Okay.
them?
So it looks like 67% are in the yellow. 17% are in the blue, and then 17% are in the green. Okay, so I want you to think about, and I'd love if you feel comfortable. You don't have to say what color you were, but in the, you know, I want you to think about how you know that you're in the yellow. What do you notice about your body? What are you noticing?
I think while we're waiting for answers, one thing that I see in the chat is just feeling a little yawny this morning, getting enough sleep last night. So yawning, I think is something I
Okay.
see in the chat. Yeah.
Yep.
And also, too, our waiting, or this is from an earlier conversation, but oh, we're getting some stuff in. Never mind. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, fidgety, tightness in chest, tensed up, lots to do this weekend, worrying, cautious at the same time, all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So what I'd like to do before we go any further is you can have your I can't see you, but you can choose to have your screen on or off. But I want you to stretch. Does everybody have their water? I'm gonna just like you can see I'm stretching right now, just stretching. Think about where you're feeling your tightness. I always feel it here, so just like tighten it a little bit. If you have water or maybe your coffee, take some sips. Okay. Now I want you to go ahead if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes. We're going to take a nice deep breath in. We're going to hold and then we're going to slowly release. Okay. So deep breath in and then release. My throat just did a little gurgle kind of thing. Okay, let's do it again. Deep breath in, hold, and then release. Another thing that you can do is just stand up really quick. Stretch. How are you feeling right now?
I'm seeing some good stretching happening on camera, so
Okay.
people are committed.
Good, good.
Oh, folks in the chat feeling calmer, relaxed. Yep, good stuff. Some you got some thumbs up. Yeah, good stuff.
Okay, so this, I could have easily said, oh, well, we'll get to that because we're going to talk about strategies for all the feels, right? And we are, but it doesn't make sense to go there if you're already in like the blue or the yellow. Like we want to try to get you calmer so that you can learn and hear the information. And so in the moment, that is, modeling how sometimes we have to pause and take care of where we're at. And that's the beauty of this. And this is something that I'm going to encourage all of you to do. I do this all the time. I used to not do this. And I was always like feeling like all over the place emotionally. Um, the more that you are aware, you can catch it small. You can take care of yourself, what you need to do to bring it down to a more level zone, like in the green zone. Um, and then you'll be able to catch it small with your kids. It's just like we talked about before. In order for you to be able to regulate your kids, you have to be regulated. So you have to be aware of what you're feeling. So that's why being able to like use the tool of like the engine plate is really helpful when all of you have one. One, it shows them, hey, grandma and grandpa have one too. It's okay for me to sometimes feel like this because grandma and grandpa sometimes feel like that too. Oh, okay. And I haven't, we'll go back over it afterwards, but we're going to go into strategies. The other piece to the engine plate that I didn't mention is that when everybody's in the green and working on things, you can talk about like, okay, so when you're feeling, and you can describe like the feeling like, oh, so much anger or whatever, what is helpful? What do you think would be helpful? So we've done that, and they'll be like, I'm gonna go for a walk. Okay, let's write that on the engine plate. And we do it for all the different feels, okay, the different zones of how you're feeling. And then in that moment, then you can look and go, oh, okay, I'm gonna do the breathing because the breathing helped calm me. There's different types of breathing too, that can be helpful. So anyway, that is something that you can model for your for the kids in and even make it a family affair. Um, I'll give you some other tips later too, but okay, how's everyone feeling? This is what I'm gonna say.
I'm
Take care of yourself.
I'm seeing some thumbs up, so we're looking good.
Okay. I want you to like get your drink. Does everybody have a drink? If you don't have a drink, go get a drink.
People are showing their drinks and drinking their drinks.
I love it. I love it. All right. Cheers to you. Cheers to regulation. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's start talking. So, green strategies. So, if I have it like this because for the inside out characters, Joy would be in the green zone, and then, of course, Winnie the Pooh. And in the green zone, it says happy, focus, calm, proud. Okay. So ideally, we'd like to be in the green zone as much as possible because, like we said, this is the learning brain, and we go in and out of it all the time. Okay, and it's okay to be in the blue, and then in the red, and then the yellow, and then in the green. The problem is when you are constantly going into the red, or it's your, like for many, because remember we talked about where it's set on high alert, they're set, their bodies are set for red. Okay, you saw where in those pictures where it was just like glowing, this part of the brain was just glowing because it was so activated. We need strategies to be able to help calm that so that their body can start to not go automatically there, can slowly be able to be more calm, to be able to not be as reactive. And part of that is to be proactive, to catch things small. So in the green strategy, like you're doing okay, you're feeling okay. But what are some things that you can do to stay in the green? And I want to circle back to TBRI. One of the things it said was, when was the last time you had something to drink? When was the last time you had something to eat? Right? And if I recall, it was over 2 hours to do a little check. So I always bring my emotional support water bottle. Okay, you can have something smaller. How many people would say that they're a good drinker of water? No shame, no blame. If it's not you, you can work on it. I will tell you right now, for me, I like ice. I don't have a fancy ice maker. I actually get the ice bags at Winco and just have a little scooper. So I have my ice in there. I add a little bit of lemon juice in my water to give it a little flavor without sugar, and then my water. That's what I do. Some people have other things that they do because they don't like the taste of water. I've heard that with kids too. I don't like the taste of water. Well, I do things to make it so that I will drink it. Okay, water, we need water to live. We also need water to regulate. Okay. Proactively, I'm just going to show you this as an example. I almost always will have one of these in my bag. It is a 100-calorie snack pack. This one has cashews, almonds, and dried cranberries. But you can get like in the bulk section and then just have like a little container that you could put in. It totally like look at what your budget is, what works, what doesn't work. I'm going to show you lots of different things, but these I like because it is just enough that it keeps me level. That's the bottom line. Like my blood sugar is just level. We talked about this before, but think about if you're hangry. In fact, some of you that are in the yellow and the blue, did you eat anything today? If you haven't had anything to eat, go get a little snack. We're taking care of each other right now. Take care of yourself. Hangry is a real thing. So even with your kids, when was the last time they had something to eat? And was it like something like with high protein? Um, it doesn't have to be a lot, but having something like this can be really helpful to just keep us in the green. So, for instance, if I was going to a place that caused me some anxiety, I would have something like this. Some of the strategies that I use for the other colors, I'll talk about later, but like for me, I would have gum. I chew gum, and we'll talk about the different benefits of that, but I chew gum as a proactive strategy for those kind of places. But I always make sure I try to get good sleep. I try to move. You notice I didn't say stay seated. Get up, stretch, move your body. Sometimes that's what your body needs. When was the last time you went outside? Like those kinds of things. If you try to like be intentionally adding these to your schedule, even if you open your window and take some breaths from outside. Okay. Those kinds of things. I'm giving you some ideas, and then we're going to go and you guys can start to brainstorm other ideas to share with the group. Okay. These are things that have worked for me over the years. Okay. So movement, and these are TBRI strategies as well. Movement, water, snack, a creative outlet, those kinds of things. So just trying to, another thing to keep me in the green is maybe limiting the news that I listen to. If I'm noticing that it's getting me out of the green. So this is just like, I'm doing well. I want to stay doing well. Okay. Think about your window of tolerance. The green strategies are going to help build. So let's say that you were here, but then you had something to eat. Look how you just built it a little bit. You took a deep breath and did some stretches. You took a sip of water. Up, something happened. Up, but you noticed it, and you're going to go for a walk. Do you see how you can build your window of tolerance just by adding some of this? It doesn't help to just ignore it and be like, I'll push through, because your window will eventually shrink. Any questions about green strategies? I'm curious, were any of you surprised that I had strategies when you're feeling good? Anyone?
Maybe folks from the
Okay.
green zone, they're feeling good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and move then to yellow strategies. So this is worried, frustrated, silly, excited. So this would be me before. I shouldn't pick on Costco. It's really any place that has a lot of people. But I would say too, like there's just different, everyone think of a something that would maybe put you in the yellow. Just add it to the chat. What would possibly put you or your kid in the yellow? A smaller window of tolerance would put you in the yellow. I'll
I'm
just throw some
getting
out. How about
learning new technology,
oh,
Walmart getting bad news. Yeah, so
learning new technology? How about trying to remember your password?
yep.
Right? Yeah. Um,
Kickboxing. Kickboxing. I love that.
oh, yeah. Um, I would think kickboxing would be a strategy. Get some of that energy out. But definitely if you're learning it, and yeah. Let me think what else. If you your kid doesn't like a lot of noise, and they've been peopling all day, and they have to ride the bus home, and they haven't had anything to eat. They haven't had a snack since lunch. Where do you think they would? Where do you think they'd be? Traffic. Traffic could put you in the yellow zone. Okay, so I think we all can relate to the yellow. Many of you were in the yellow. Maybe now that I've been talking about some of that might put you back in the yellow. So just take care of yourself. So again, you're going to always want to start with those basic things. So the water, to help bring it back. Okay. If you're starting to notice it, self-awareness is a huge one. So even just using the engine plate is going to help. Even if you don't have an engine plate, knowing the colors. One thing, and I brought everything and I don't have this, but even if you had like a sticker, there's some that are texturized that have breathing tools on there. I use that a lot with the patients I work with. But even just like when I pick up my phone and I feel it, it's a reminder to me to go, oh, how am I doing? And I'll do a quick engine check. That can help because then you're like, okay, oh, yeah, it's not good. You'll start to notice like the tightness in your chest, or your stomach will start making some noises, or maybe uh, some pain maybe. So when you notice, when your kid says my stomach hurts, or notice and see, is this something, is it medical? Is it like they're actually not feeling well? Or is it more of like a somatic reaction to being in the yellow? Or, when was that? Are they stressed about something? Is there something I can do to help calm their body, and see from there? Okay, so the food, gum. Gum is a big one. Again, we talked about that. Gum is very helpful. For me, I have gum with me when I drive. Yellow, traffic, waiting at the same light for like 3 rounds because traffic's so bad. That kind of thing. Music. Music has been a great strategy. Many kids use that. Many adults use it. Yellow strategy, like the type of music that can help calm you. Can help, or can help get you more at a regulated state. Connection with others, so calling a friend or someone that can make you laugh. Speaking of laughing, humor. So like if I'm in the yellow, I'm feeling like kind of nervous, anxious, I'll watch something that's predictable. How many of you have watched something over and over again because you like it, one, but it's predictable? There's no surprises. What the emotional reaction is going to be from you. That is a way of regulating yourself.
I just put The Office in the chat. Like I think I watched that all the way through.
Yeah,
Say
The Office. I think mine is Schitt's Creek. I've watched that so many times.
it.
It just makes me laugh every time. Um, One thing that I have is I will have certain tools. So you see my hand. This is actually a fidget ring. It's actually 3 fidget rings because I wanted it to be a little extra. So I'll just show you one of them. So this is my fidget ring, and you can move the beads. Uh, Kids love this too because it doesn't look like anything, but yeah, it's very helpful. When I worked before with older kids in foster care, many times we would have to go to like different meetings and things that would cause them a lot of anxiety. And one of the things I want you to think about is how we outwardly show where we're at. And so one of the things I would see, I can't show you because the table's too big, but think of the leg. So their leg would be doing this. And I was like, okay. And it was, I remember this specifically. It was for a job interview kind of thing. We were trying to get some support for their employment history. And their leg was like this. And so I just nonchalantly, because they already knew about the regulation because I talked to them about it, I just handed them one of my rings without the other person knowing, and they put the ring on. They were able to calm their leg down and they played with their ring, which was a lot less distracting because their leg was going pretty fast. We see that all the time. What are some things that could be clues to you that you are in the yellow? What are some things
Well,
that you can think of?
while folks are doing that, I got in the last little thing about regulation strategies, I also got watching The Golden Girls, which is another nice chill show.
Yes, absolutely. It's predictable. It's funny. It's, yeah. Some of these shows too, do you just feel like you connect with them, like you know them? It's like that connection piece, which is so healing. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some, so like for me in the yellow, I start to notice that I start to get short with people. Baby. Um, I notice it in my stomach and in my chest. My chest starts to feel really heavy, like there's a weight on it. It's harder for me, or if maybe I'm holding my breath. We talked about that earlier when seeing the bear. Someone said holding their breath. We do that. We do that when we're in situations like this. Now remember, feeling of dread. Yeah, yeah.
Feeling of dread,
So
but just let that one come through yet.
it can come from like bodily sensations, but it also can come from like feelings that you, yeah, that come to mind. Um, this is your last strategy to get calm before you go into the red or the blue. So for you, being able to like say, hey, for me, it's like, girl, you are fine. You are fine. One of the things that I use a lot, and I want you to try this today. It's called orienting. And I want you to look around the room where you're at and find something that just catches your eye. And then just look at it. Just be curious. What do you see? The colors, the shape. What do you think it feels like? Is it cold? Is it rough? And just focus on that for a little bit. And then when you feel calmer, then you can come back. For me, I'll actually show you. I have this, it comes with this, where you can put it on this and it can do this. I didn't have it going, but that's what caught my eye. The other thing that you can do is the five senses. How many know the five senses to help? I think it's five things you can see, four things you can touch, three things you can hear, two things you can smell, and then one emotion. I
One
think
thing
is
you
what.
can taste, I think.
Oh yes, it's one thing you can taste. Yeah,
If
we
you
don't
get them
want to
out of
taste
order,
too
it's
many
fine though.
things.
That's what I learned. Like, because I always forget the right order. It's like if it's
Yeah. Yes, you definitely don't want to have too many options for the taste. No one wants to lick the wall. But that's another strategy to be able to, and I'll just tell you, this can work for other things too, but that particularly, give myself permission to say, not today, maybe tomorrow. Okay. Hey, I'm seeing them come up. Good. Yeah, so like recognizing like where you're at in your window too. Like, do I have to do all of this today? Is this something that can wait? Yeah, recognizing your own capacity. Um, that is definitely a yellow strategy for sure. Um, looking at, in situations like our boundaries would be a really big one too. Like if you're noticing that you're in the yellow and you're worried, like, okay, let's look at our commitments. is there anything that I said yes to or that I think that I have to do? I really don't want to, and there's really no need for me to, but for some reason I'm feeling like I'm going to be a horrible person if I don't do this or whatever it is. We put such expectations on ourselves. Is it something that maybe it's okay that someone else does? Can we ask for help? Um, which is not a sign of weakness, it's actually a sign of strength. Think about like different things in the yellow strategy, and um, we'll keep going along here. Um, so let's go to red strategy. So this is the last one. You still had top down, you could do both, right? You still had access to this part of the brain, but I always like imagine it kind of like vibrating. It's just my own imagination of like, it's going to blow if you don't do something, right? But this is when it's like, you're in red zone. It could be, I mean, one of the things it says here is overjoyed, elated, like, but if you're trying to take a test and your energy is like this, that's not going to be helpful for a kid who's like bouncing off the walls like Tigger. Okay. Or it could be like panicked, anger, terrified. Like when I think of red, honestly, I imagine a caged animal and think about a caged animal. Like they might be like the sweetest animal, but when they think that their life is in danger or they're going to get hurt, they fight with every ounce that they have. So a couple of things. This is where bottom up strategies work because you're not going to be able to access your words. So you're going to have to like once you notice you're there, for you will be to like the breathing and the slow breath out is going to be what you need to like lower your nervous system to bring it down. Okay. For me, if I start to notice that I'm just like, or someone's telling me, go for a walk, I'll get that energy out. We got to get that energy out. Something sweet. So in TBRI, she would have these camps and she would bring the kids and the kids would get to tumble and all that. But one of the things, it wasn't just like for when in the red, but it was for any time, but to keep it from, like if they were at a higher level to kind of calm. And it was something sweet, but she would have like this kind of gum. She would have buckets of it at the camps. And their rule was as long as you asked politely and you took care of it, that you could have as much gum as you could chew. So think of the sweetness. The sweetness can help calm. Think about these nice jaw breakers in a way, because it's so hard. Can you picture it? Like how hard it is to chew it? So that the chewing and how that is that can be very regulating. How many of you can like almost like taste this? When I do trainings in person, I always have all of these kinds of things on the tables so that everyone can stay regulated throughout the training. But this can be a really good example. But we also have jawbreakers, not jawbreakers, Jolly Ranchers. So Jolly Ranchers, that sucking motion, their sensory is all around the mouth. And so just the sucking on this or anything like that can be very regulating, help calm. Let's see, what else do I have here? I also have, let's see, depending, I have different fidgets like this one. I think if they're in the red, they probably break this, but this might be good for green or yellow. Sometimes I have different ones depending. So I have like this ball, which you can see is like really, it's hard to squish this, but to get some of that energy out. But I have something like this too, which is softer. I wouldn't want some people, this is enough. And then they have some that are filled with water. If someone has a lot, like they need that deeper squeeze, I wouldn't give them the one with the water because they'll pop it. So also recognizing that not all fidgets are going to fit your need. So some people will need something that's like, I don't like this one because it's too hard to squeeze. But at the same time, one of the things that I learned in the alert program was whether you're in the red or in the blue, one thing that can help bring your energy up if you're in the blue or down if you're in the red is hard work. And what that means is like either push or pull. So when I think of this, it kind of reminds me of that same kind of motion. So I want you to just right now, just push on your hands. Push as hard as you can. Another thing you can use is the wall. You can say, go push on a wall. This is to try to get some of that energy out. You can also pull. So pulling. So sometimes you think about like if you had a lot of energy and you were feeling a little anxious after shopping. Okay, so after shopping in Winco, and then I don't know about you guys, I always feel like it's a race at the end and I'm trying to get out of the way as quickly as possible. I do it to myself. Like I'm sure they want you to hurry, but not to the point of like, I'm sorry, I'm in the way, you know. I'm just causing anxiety. But when I have to lift all those bags and carry them in, by the time I'm through with all that, I feel better. It's that push and pull kind of thing. So if you can give opportunities for that kind of movement to get some of that energy out, can be really helpful. Sometimes you'll also notice in those kinds of situations that crunchy food, crunchy like spicy, can also be regulating. So if it can also go for the blue as well. Smells can help calm, music can help calm. You're probably not going to want to play like really like hard rock, loud thumping if you're trying to calm. So you want something that's a little bit calmer, maybe turning the lights down lower. Some of this you're probably like, yeah, I do some of this. So that is some quick strategies for red. And I want to move now to blue. Blue strategies. So sad, bored, tired, sick. This is also like if you're doing shutdowns. So, like before with the red, go for a walk. For blue, it might be starting with like putting some cold water on your face. Walking outside and putting your bare feet in the cold grass. Something that we also have. So we talked about the sweetness. But I also do sour. So sour can help. Like how many people have like a little bit like a little sour watery thing going on now in their mouth? Just thinking about like sour gum, sour Jolly Ranchers. You can get all of this in bulk. So I have both depending on like what the need is. Pickles. Not everyone likes pickles, but you think they're crunchy for the most part and a little sour. I also like green olives. So like these little green olive packs, I'll keep these in the office because around 3:00 for me, I'm like a morning person, but around 3:00, it feels like I hit a wall. And so being able to raise my energy up a little bit, I'll have something like green olives. You can even do something with like the high chews, something that's chewy again, and can help raise. One of my favorite kinds of candies too. I don't know what this is called. It's in the Mexican candy, but it's super. Oh, like my mouth is watering right now. It's super. It has a little bit of a spice, but it's also kind of sour. I don't know how to explain, but it's also chewy. Love them, love them, love them. So those kinds of things can help get out of the blue. Again, nature is healing. Connection. We've talked about connection, and how that can help. Sometimes if someone is might need more connection with you. So like a time in instead of a time out. I want to go back really quick because there's something here that I think is also a green strategy. Can you all see this? So I was teaching, it's called the crocodile game, but I was teaching some teachers and they said that's an alligator. I'm like, okay, well, I was just going by what was on the box. So whether it's an alligator or a crocodile, it's not as much the point as being able, when you're in the green and together, to be able to play a game and be able to, in a fun way, be able to raise their help them be dysregulated in a fun way. So then you could practice some of these strategies. So how many are you familiar with this game? Thumbs up. Are there nods?
I'm seeing a little head shaking. So yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Okay, so basically you have to take turns putting down a tooth. And at some point, it's going to snap. And so it's that anticipation. So can you feel like how that would get them a little like, but it's fun, and then it will snap. Yeah, like we did this in TBR when we were learning it, and there was a bunch of us, grown adults playing this, giggling. Okay, so it got me. See, it still made me like jump, and I was anticipating it. So being able to do that and then go, okay, what do you notice? Like for me, my heart was doing this. Okay, okay. So let's do the magic mustache. So the magic mustache is something we learn at TBRI. You do it like this. Everybody just do this right now. There's a pressure point right here. We all do it at some point. You're going to notice it if you haven't already. This is me when I'm trying to learn something technology wise or trying to read something. Without even realizing it, I am regulating myself. There's pressure point right there. So you can have the kids, all of you do the magic mustache together. Or you could like do the push and the pull, or let's go push on the wall together. Let's check. Let's shake it off. Shake it off. Okay, how are we feeling? How are you feeling? How's your heart? Is it still going like that? Well, it's a little better. Okay, let's do a breath together.
I'm getting some good thumbs up and stuff. So I think good things are
Yeah.
happening.
So it's a great way to practice dysregulation. So then they can start being more aware of their body and start to notice. How many of us go through life and go, oh yeah, I have feet. Like how many people like don't notice their feet? Like we are so disconnected from our bodies. Like when you start to actually notice, like, how am I feeling? Like doing a body scan, that's another thing. Start at your feet because they're usually the least most of your attunement and like, being what's the word I'm trying to think of? Tuned up will be in this area. Okay. So just start and just like, what do you notice? My feet are on the ground, move my toes. What do I do to regulate? There's so many things that you do. Do you like heavy things? Does your kid like big blankets? Would a weighted blanket work? Here's something that I'm gonna stop sharing just for a little bit because okay. Like I have this teddy bear. Can everybody see this teddy bear? Okay, I got this teddy bear at a thrift store. And then I asked its permission, and then I cut open and took some stuffing out. I used a toddler um, pillowcase cover, waterproof pillowcase cover, and then I went to the bulk section of Winco and got 3 to 4 pounds of beans, put it in there, and I stuffed it up there, added a little more so that it was squishy, and now I have a weighted stuffed animal. I can't tell you how many of these I've made. I started with my kid who was here during the pandemic. They had to try to do school online and their anxiety was so high. I made them one with their favorite dog. Actually, it was a dog this is the truth. They didn't want this dog stuffed animal. And I said, can I use it? Because I just learned how to make this and I want to make it, but not with something that you care about because I'm not a sewer. And they're like, sure. Well, sure enough, guess who? That's their favorite stuffed animal still, to this day, because they need that. It's like a hug. It's like a hug, and it helps regulate the nervous system. So I have this one. I have a dog. Um, for where I work, it has to be washable. So I actually got a couple of pillows that were for the backyard furniture, and then covers, where you can have it with the zipper and then you can change it and wash it. I made those weighted as well. So it looks like it's just a normal decorative pillow, but you can have it. And I'll have patients come in and they will put as much as they need on them to feel safe and secure, to help them regulate. So this is another tool that you can use if it's something that and you can buy one, but I don't want to spend the money, so I make my own. Plus, I like to pick them out. So I have a ton of them. What else? I have lots, like I said, I have lots of different fidgets. What I do is I have a bucket of them, like a little thing, and let them choose what feels good for that day. Do not be ashamed to use them yourself. This is mine. This is my little octopus. I don't know if you can hear that. Um, I would do trainings and I would hold her. But then I saw that someone seemed like I was attuned, like, and it seemed like someone was having a tough time. So I let her borrow, and it helped regulate. So just noticing your own body. How are folks feeling about all the information? I know it's a lot. I hope you took lots of notes. One more thing, don't forget about scent. So there's a lot. Scent can be very triggering or it can be very calming. So just noticing those kinds of things, that could be helpful. Sometimes I have certain scents that will help wake me up or will help calm me down. And then the other thing is, we talked before about the environment. For me, a lot of times I will have one light off because it's too bright, because it will actually hurt my eyes and make it difficult for me to think. So just knowing what sensory things you seek and avoid can also be helpful. And we talked about that in the last session of TBRI. So what I'd like for the last little bit is for you to go back into your small groups or into your pairs. Think about what I talked about, and then think about if there's other things that you've done that I haven't mentioned, or um, talk to each other about something that you're going to try, and then we'll come back together and we'll share. But before we do that, is there any questions?
And we had one more person, we had one more cruise ship halfway through, so one of the groups is going to get a new person. So, yeah.
Okay, so they probably are going to be a little nervous. So make sure you guys all do your little squishies and breathing together.
All right, I'm
Okay.
gonna open them
Any
up.
questions? Any questions before you go? Okay. We'll see you in about 5 minutes. Oh, nice to see all of you. So
Sorry.
nice to see all of you. So in the chat, and I apologize, we just don't have the time to hear from everyone. We'd love to, but we just don't. Write some takeaways, something you're gonna try, maybe something that you do that you want to share with the group. Um, Everyone has a life story and are an expert in their own life, so there's probably things that would be great to share with everyone. And Sheila will keep track of that. While she's doing that, I do want to do some
Love the
last.
plate concept. So, yeah,
What was that?
the plate's getting some love. So, the plate,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
the engine plate.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
I love the engine plate. I love it. I love it. I love it. I actually make little packets, and I give them out when I work with families so that they each have their own little packets. It's just, and you can even have like a little one that they make, and it can stay in the car. For those transitions, sometimes that can be helpful to have things even, like what we were talking about with all the different tools. I've even had where they make a little packet, like a little safety bag. We'll just call it safety bag, where it'll have that in it, but then they'll have like different squishies and maybe a snack and maybe a water bottle and what else? Some different things that could help in the car. Any other ideas, thoughts, anything in the
Yeah,
chat?
taste factors, engine plates, sensory overload stuff. Yeah, lots of good stuff in here. So cool.
Awesome. Okay. Um, I geek out about this stuff, y'all. Okay, so I love it. It has been life-changing, not only for me, but just how I approach folks. And I don't care how old you are, this is something that all of us experience. And the more we understand, the more that we can help our kids. But it starts with you. So these are my resources. It's on there. Again, there's lots of great information out there. And if you have more questions that you think of afterwards, you can definitely send them our way. And again, at the end of the series, we're going to have one that's just going to be like, let's talk. Let's like what's still on your
Q&A.
mind.
Yeah.
That we're going to have. It's going to be more interactive. Again, the Resilient Parenting Podcast. This is, if you're interested, we have different things on like the zones of regulation. There's different things about the engine plate. Ken is, well, let's just say that he made a poo joke because I was talking about putting poo on a plate and he couldn't. Yes, exactly, Mike. He's like, so green poo on a plate. Like he would not stop. I know. But it's funny and they're all like about 20 minutes long. So I highly recommend that. That's again through the Idaho Children's Trust Fund. This is the next part of the series. So next will be attachment and relationship shifts, and self-care and building community, and then open forum, putting it all together. So those are our dates. And then we just appreciate you so much attending today's session. We do have a short survey for you to fill out. It's anonymous, so please be honest.
And links
And
in
I
the
would
chat too. So
say,
same surveys in the chat. So yeah.
yeah, the same surveys in the chat. I would just say, one of the things about this, if this is something that's been beneficial to you and you know others that are in the similar situation, let them know about this training so that they can join, because we definitely have capacity for even more families, and that's the goal, is to reach more families and to let them know that they're not alone. So and just as a reminder that this is being recorded, and so you'll be able to access it again. So if there's something that you're like, wait, what was that again? Um, it'll be there. Plus, if um, Sheila did send out the PowerPoint to everyone, I have it so that you can write notes and everything. But if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. You don't have to wait till the next session. All right. Is there any last minute, any questions, any concerns?
We're getting good feedback in the chat, Michelle. So I'm super excited. So thank you so much.
Yay. Well, I love doing this, and thanks Sheila for again bringing me on board and everything that you guys do. Kinship families, man, you guys are amazing, and I I just can't say enough about what you do, and you are making such a difference. So definitely take care of yourselves. Starts with you, right?
All righty. See y'all later. Take care, guys. See you back on the 18th, hopefully. Or yeah, next month. 16th, I think. Yeah. Thank
One
you.
of those times.
Yeah.